They were handcuffed, blindfolded, and guarded by IDF soldiers. 3 Hezbollah operatives, treated inside a civilian Israeli hospital, just rooms away from ordinary patients who had no idea who was lying behind that door. Now fresh details are reigniting a sensitive debate over medical ethics, security, and the treatment of enemy fighters during wartime. At least 3 Hezbollah operatives captured during Israel's recent conflict with the Iran-backed group were treated at Ziv Medical Center in Safed, while under Israeli military guard, according to sources cited by the Times of Israel. The report says the operatives were brought to the northern Israeli hospital roughly 2 weeks ago and were kept handcuffed and blindfolded in a secured room guarded by IDF soldiers throughout their treatment. Neither the Israel Defense Forces nor Ziv Medical Center denied the report, although both declined to discuss specific patients, citing security, privacy, and medical confidentiality considerations. The revelations have renewed debate inside Israel over whether captured enemy combatants should be treated in civilian hospitals or only within military and prison medical facilities. The IDF said detainees suspected of involvement in terrorist activity are transferred to designated facilities inside Israel, where they remain under medical supervision and receive treatment when necessary.
Detainees who require medical treatment receive care from certified medical personnel in the IDF. And in certain cases, when required according to medical need, they are transferred to hospitals for further treatment. There are 24/7 security and oversight mechanisms in place to ensure the detainees pose no safety risk.
The military added that security measures are maintained around the clock to ensure detainees pose no threat to surrounding civilians or medical staff. The reported treatment appears to raise questions about a health ministry policy introduced after Hamas's October 7th attack, which stated that captured terrorists should be treated in military or prison medical facilities rather than civilian hospitals. Ziv Medical Center stressed that it follows Israeli law and medical ethics, providing treatment to anyone whose condition requires urgent care regardless of nationality, religion, or identity.
The hospital provides medical care to any person brought to it when their medical condition requires it, regardless of their identity, religion, nationality, or the circumstances of their injury.
The same report also revealed that the hospital recently treated a young Syrian Druze civilian from the village of Hada, near the Israeli-Syrian border. Israeli medical authorities have long maintained that doctors must treat all patients according to medical need, including captured enemy fighters, arguing that adherence to medical ethics remains essential even during armed conflict. The controversy highlights the difficult balance Israel faces between security concerns, humanitarian obligations, and the laws of war as regional tensions continue. Five Israeli fighters were wounded on June 17th after Hezbollah struck them twice within minutes in southern Lebanon, the second drone hitting the very team sent to rescue casualties from the first. 1 soldier is in serious condition, 2 are moderately hurt, and 2 suffered light injuries. Initial reports indicate the opening drone struck the unit on the ground, and as forces moved to evacuate the wounded, a second drone slammed into the rescue vehicle itself. The attack adds to a punishing run for Israeli troops stationed along the border. Just 3 days earlier, 2 Israeli personnel were hurt when Hezbollah fired a rocket at forces in the same area, despite a ceasefire understanding reportedly in place between Washington and Tehran. The week before that, a female Israeli soldier was moderately wounded by another drone strike, hours after an officer was seriously hurt by an explosive device in Jenin and a second soldier sustained light injuries. The toll along the northern side of the country has been mounting for weeks. Major Chaim Kalumeti, 55, a reservist with the Ephraim Brigade's Regional Defense Battalion, was killed in a shooting attack in Zur Natan, with a fellow reservist seriously wounded in the same assault. Roughly 10 days before that, 2 more fighters lost their lives within the same stretch. Captain Shahar Gamla, 23-year-old, deputy company commander in the Igor's commando unit, died of wounds sustained days earlier, while Sergeant Ohad Yari, 21 years of age, of the Givati Brigade's Shaked Battalion, was killed by a bullet fired by one of his own comrades. The pattern emerging from these incidents, the targeting of evacuation teams after an initial strike, has raised concern among commanders about Hezbollah adapting its tactics specifically to inflict casualties on those responding to the wounded. Something Israel has been accused of pioneering. The ceasefire is holding just barely. A new war of words is unfolding after the US-Iran agreement, with Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps claiming the so-called resistance axis emerged stronger from months of conflict, while Israel insists it will maintain troops inside southern Lebanon indefinitely. IRGC Quds Force Commander Brigadier General Esmail Khani said the confrontation with the United States and Israel had failed to weaken the resistance front.
Hezbollah stood alongside Iran throughout the confrontation and played a significant role in confronting aggression. No one can stand against Hezbollah. The movement demonstrated during the conflict represented only the tip of the iceberg compared with its full capabilities.
The Iranian commander also said Iran's negotiators maintained a firm position throughout talks, insisting that diplomacy and battlefield pressure worked hand in hand. However, as Tehran praised Hezbollah's strength, Israeli officials moved to clarify that the newly announced US-Iran agreement would not force any Israeli withdrawal from southern Lebanon. According to Israeli sources cited by the Jerusalem Post, Israel rejected Iranian demands that Israeli troops leave the area. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu publicly rejected calls for an Israeli withdrawal. Holding a press conference on June 15th, Netanyahu said Israeli troops will remain in the buffer zone in southern Lebanon for as long as necessary.
We created there a buffer zone, a security zone. We will stay there as long as necessary. Iran wanted us to retreat from there. It didn't happen. Do you know why it didn't happen, among other things? Because I stood very, very firmly. I was very, very decisive about this thing. And I think that our American friends respect this decisiveness and firm standing. We are staying there because we need to protect the residents of the North. And there are other things too. In any ways, we want to preserve and act to preserve our freedom to act.
A senior White House source also reportedly confirmed to Walla that an Israeli withdrawal from Lebanon is not part of the agreement. At the same time, Israeli officials indicated that if Hezbollah fully respects the ceasefire, there would be no Israeli strikes anywhere in Lebanon. Senior IDF sources told the Jerusalem Post that this marks a change from the temporary April 7th ceasefire arrangement.
This was a change from the April 7th temporary ceasefire in which, early on, if Hezbollah kept the deal, there would be no IDF attacks beyond the Litani River ceasefire line. But the IDF would continue attacks on any Hezbollah fighters in areas it already controlled in southern Lebanon and who refused to surrender.
Despite the diplomatic understandings, tensions remained high on the ground. The IDF said on June 15th that Hezbollah fired several rockets toward Israeli forces operating in southern Lebanon. According to the military, the projectiles were intercepted and caused no casualties. The Israeli military also reported 4 separate incidents involving Hezbollah operatives approaching Israeli troops.
IDF troops spotted several terrorists traveling in vehicles and approaching IDF soldiers in a manner that posed an immediate threat to them. The Israeli Air Force then struck all of the threats in a precise manner.
Lebanese media reported at least one vehicle strike in Kfar Tebnit that allegedly killed the driver.